guess what? Amanda made a mini. This is part of the episode where we're going to be pairing it with actual time-lapse footage of Amanda making this beholder miniature. She's super talented. I cannot gush over her talent enough. Oh, Amanda, what? You're shut up. I just said you're talented.
Okay, yeah, gushing.
What'd you make this beholder out of?
I made it out of polymer clay.
Polymer clay. Why'd you pick that specific type of material to make this?
Because it's the easiest one for me to work with everything that I have. Like, if I want my preferred medium would be like oil-based clay, and then I could do castings in metal, and have the miniatures be way more durable. But I don't have those kind of facilities.
Yep.
So I work with polymer clay. I have an oven. I can set the clay in the oven just fine. And, I mean, they're functional. They work. We just have to be a little bit gentle with them. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I think you have to be gentle with all miniatures.
Especially custom ones. All right.
Yeah, you love that shit or don't play.
Yeah, take care of your minis, guys. Find cases. Keep them out of the weather.
Keep them away. 5-year-olds away.
Keep them away from your small children. If they're not old enough to do the math required to play D&D, they're not old enough to play with the minis.
Or pets. I do have pet birds, and they have bitten.
Oh.
Miniatures. Whilst I've been working on them, and I've been very put out.
Tad Cooper. Bastard.
Such a jerk.
All right. So what would you say was the most challenging aspect of crafting this mini?
The most challenging aspect was the amount of texture that I put on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
I did like these little scale bump things, and I had to do them all individually.
We're gonna be doing some close-up photos.
And there are hundreds. I couldn't count them, but there's hundreds, if not like into the thousands amount of little tiny dots that I had to put on with puff paint and clay.
So just the sheer amount of time that
Yeah.
Okay, and it was just a time thing to overcome it, or was there like a trick that you found out?
No, easier? There was no trick to make it easier. When I started, I was like, what have you gotten yourself into? Like, you've been doing this for an hour, and you've done like a 2-inch section on this bitch.
And question your life choices.
Yeah, I was like, but potentially this is going to take me like days, weeks of just dots. And it did.
Okay, so what would you say is the biggest takeaway during the process?
Biggest takeaway,
the lesson that was learned.
The lesson that, well, I mean, I don't have a problem with taking time to do detail, because in the end, detail is what can make a miniature amazing, as opposed to...
Sets it apart from the 3D printed stuff.
Yeah.
The $5 to the $500 range.
Yeah. The attention to detail is what can make it a piece of art, And I like that. I like that, being able to take the time and putting the attention in and the detail in to make it really special.
And that is what we do here at Mangor Minis.
Gosh.
We do pieces of art that you can also play D&D with. Isn't that great?
But I think the biggest lesson I learned was being able to plan out the different stages for my artwork, because initially I had all these different eye stalks that I had to put on, and I still had to do texture and formation of the mouth and the teeth, and I had to figure out how to turn it into different stages instead of trying to do it all at once. Because that was impossible, I came to find out. Like, I couldn't...
You had to chunk it into manageable pieces.
Like, I had to bake the eye stalks separately before I even attached them to the main body.
Oh, okay.
And I had to have the little resin eyeballs finished so that I could put them in the sculpture. I couldn't wait to do those after I had...
Those turned out so good.
I was really proud of those.
Oh my
the main
God.
Eyeball, I
honestly thought you bought like a bag of eyeballs or something from like a manufacturer.
I didn't do that.
Remember, she sent us the pictures.
No, I know.
She did them.
But I was like, no.
Yeah, I think the eyeballs turned out really great, but I had to do those before anything else, basically.
Oh, okay.
Because I had to put them in the clay itself. I couldn't just put them in after the clay had already been baked. So figuring out how to do it in different stages and have it all be ready to put together at the very end. That was something that was definitely a learning process for me on this miniature, because it's one of the bigger ones that I've made so far, or one of the more bigger complicated ones. The other ones have been pretty simple.
I'd say you've made bigger ones, but they had more of a simple geometric, doesn't need to be perfect kind of a thing. They were already just kind of things you made up in your head, which is always going to be easier than replicating something that somebody else thought up.
Yeah, and you're replicating the one monster that's like, I am perfect. I am perfection.
I am the pinnacle of all monstrosities.
But now it's sitting up on the shelf and staring at me. It's like, it's almost too good. It's like it follows me through the room.
I do want to reference, in the book, there's the picture of the beholder. He's purple and stuff, and his eye is kind of glowing when you look at it. And I wanted the eyeball to look like that. And I think I pulled it off.
You did. It watches me while I watch TV. Okay, I got 2 more questions. Next time, if there is a next time, I'm sure there'll be a next time that you build a beholder. What would you do differently?
It's kind of the artist's curse, where once it's finished, you already see things that you would change or do differently. And I would definitely get better resin for the eyes. The resin that I had was a quick cure resin, and it, even though I did everything properly and like used a blowtorch to get the bubbles out of it, there were still tiny little bubbles in it. And so I need to get better quality resin and have one that has a slower cure time, so the bubbles have time to rise up and pop before it sets completely, so I can get really crystal clear.
I can't even count how many conversations we've had with you about resin.
But anyways, yeah.
All right.
So
last question. What's this beholder's name?
I don't know. I didn't think of it as a specific character.
No, you didn't like put a personality to it at all.
No, I was just making a beholder. If we did name it, I think we should name it after the beholder that we had in the last campaign that you did with.
Oh yeah, what was his name?
I don't know. That's the thing. I
Which
cannot
one?
remember.
Cass has it. The one that Baba Yaga had in her hut?
Baba Yaga had captured.
Oh, I don't know it.
The one that tricked you guys into releasing him by...
Well, tricked me. Let's be honest. Tricked me.
Nobody else knew what was going on. You're just the one that actually landed on the trap. Okay, so I gotta explain. So this beholder is captured by a witch, right? And he's held in this sort of anti-magic cage. And the way he escaped is he very meticulously chiseled out a sigil of teleportation that would only work if a PC was actually standing in a specific spot. And once they saw it, all he had to do was recite the incantation and the teleportation circle would be activated. And so they're trying to investigate these strange clinking sounds that are happening from that. Basically, it was like a storage facility, this interdimensional storage facility. Yeah. And he was in like the very back.
But it was like a menagerie of weird
And animals. You guys couldn't figure out what was going on and blah, 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 blah. But he had like this very hardened carapace.
And every other character except mine wanted absolutely nothing to do with him.
They did not even want to be near him. He was very creepy, very off-putting, very manipulative. Well, she stood and saw it, and by the time she understood what was happening, that beholder poofed out of there.
I feel like there was a lot of backstory reasons as to why.
No, yeah. Well, she was trying to use him just as much as he was trying to use her.
Him, but he also reminded of her dad. She was trying to prove to herself that she could outsmart her dad. I think at the end of the day, she overestimated how intelligent her dad was and underestimated how intelligent that beholder was. Yeah.